All right, everybody, we're back. It's been a minute. Hope everybody's okay. Hope everything's been good. I don't know, it's been a month, right? I think it's been a month. Mm, been busy, and my mom passed away. So, we've been busy. Hope everybody's okay. Yeah, it's been rough here and there. It's not been rough because, um, how do I say it? It's not been rough because of the passing. It's been rough when um, and forgive me for crying. Um, it's been rough when everything else go on around it. So it's all good. Sorry, y'all. All right. So let's get into it. Oh yeah. Um, a lot of things have happened since the last time we have done the show. In terms of the layoffs, Doge, of course, Elon Musk, people trying to keep up with the jobs that have been out there. Those who've been to my meetups also know that on the meetups I talked about really preparing yourself for, I don't want to say death, preparing yourself your your retirement, for your friends and family, and what you should do. For those that came down to the Wednesday night meetup, I talked very candidly about how to prepare yourself. Um, Not for the deaf, but just how utilizing really Linux and your career and infrastructure has really helped me in this time. And so I'm gonna congratulations. I'm gonna give you, like I did Wednesday night, my perspective, and then we'll spin into the show. So things that I candidly have learned is um when people tell you it's not all about the money, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. When they tell you that it's not about money, they're lying to you. Okay? Here's what I'm talking about from that perspective. Um I've stated this before, to have private nurses in your home and so forth. It's for 24 by 7 care, 7 days a week, can range you anywhere from $20,000 a month to $30,000 a month. So if you are thinking that, and please don't forget, your insurance does not cover that either. So with that being said, you're gonna have to have some money. So what does that look like? So um the way, well, this particular nurse, I guess you could say private nurse, or home health aide, I guess you could say it that way, worked out is to invoice you every 7 days. So you got 7 days on the invoice. So what does that mean? That means at the end of that, once they invoice you for that time, you need to pay up, right? So I can give you just my own personal scenario. And let me pull up calculator so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So if you're looking at, and this, my screen is shared too, right here. All right. So we got $30 an hour for, well, let's take it back. It's 25 an hour. We'll just do 30 because it's a difference in pricing at night and then during the day. So $30 an hour. We'll just keep it as simple as that. Times 12, which is, well, we'll do times 24. because each nurse works a 12-hour shift, and let's say you do it 7 days a week. So $30 an hour, 24 by 7. Um, and then that's for 1 week. And then you multiply that by 4. So that's what you're looking at for a month. So mm, what I was proposing was we do 4 days out of the week. So 4 times 30, um 4 days, oh yeah, times 24. And so that would have been and then multiply that by 4. So my total would have been 11,520. So I would have been paying out $11,520. That's out of your pocket. That's for um for 24 by 7 care. And then utilize the weekends to really meal prep, and utilize the weekends to get anything done that you need to get done, such as, cutting grass, just being here. And then the other part of the 24 by 7 was because I wasn't going to be here, right? I was going to leave my mom with nurses throughout the week, come back on Thursday night, be with her Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, have a nurse come in Sunday night, and then go from there. So that's what that looked like. Oh, hold on, D. Let me see. Nah, I'm fine. So, why do I bring this up? So I bring this up because if you have a parent, or if you have siblings, or if you're in a situation where they don't have any money to help, how do you get past this? What are you supposed to do in order to make this happen? Fortunately, between my mom and I, uh, were able to cover that. And just me by myself, I was able to cover that. How was I able to cover that? One, I've worked in the industry now 24 24 years. Um and and along the way I've stacked up my money in order to be able to do what I want to, when I want to, and where I want to. But I've used Linux in order to do that. I stayed in infrastructure in order to do that. And so if we take this and we multiply this is for a month. If we multiply this by 12, that's how much money I would have had to kick out in a year's time just for care from my mom. That doesn't include my own personal stuff, my own house, my own other things. So we're talking about 100, basically, let's round up, $140,000 in private care for someone. And when people tell you money, again, doesn't matter, this is where I say money matter. So that's that. So now I'm going to let me see if I have it. Um see. And I'm gonna show you two things. All right, so let's go here. You guys have seen this before. Roadmap.sh, right? Everybody's seen this before. This is the one for DevOps. Let me make it a little smaller because it looks super huge on the screen. So, all right, here's roadmap.sh. So, roadmap.sh is one of the ones that I'll say use it loosely. Let me say it that way. The reason why I say use it loosely, because we'll get into um, platform engineering. We'll get into a little bit more infrastructure engineers, and they all kind of run the same: infrastructure engineer, SRE, so forth and so on. So we'll get into that a little bit more. And I appreciate y'all for your condolences as well. So with DevOps, one, we should say DevSecOps because you need to include security in that. So let's start with at the top here where they have the purple check marks and the legend up here says personal recommendation and alternative pick pick this or purple, and these right here are the alternatives. All right, so again, Python and Go, especially if you're writing front and back end or creating services on as a platform engineer, or even Python and Go if you're using any infrastructure as code tools such as Terraform, such as Ansible, Puppet. Puppet is more on the Ruby side, but again, this is where that comes into. And then if you do anything with Linux, you're gonna be in a bash shell, and Windows, you'll be in the PowerShell or PowerShell shell. And then here they're just talking about everything is gonna be Ubuntu, SUSE, Rail, and then go from there. And then they have everything that you need to know. Now, I'll caveat this and say process monitoring, performance monitoring, networking tools, text manipulation, all falls under Linux. You're just going to have these terminal knowledge. Knowing operating systems is just something you're just gonna have to do, right? Um, and then as you get down further into here, understanding, um, and this more gets into forward proxy, reverse proxy, caching, load balancers. Load balancers, you'll probably get more into the cloud aspect of things, and understanding applications and how to balance traffic with applications and so forth. And then when you look at VCS, when they're talking about hosting, so they're really talking about your Git repositories, version control systems, right? But your GitLab, your GitHub, your Bitbuckets, your Circle CI, the list goes on. Well, I wouldn't say Circle CI. Well, yeah, I would say Circle CI. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah. And then containers, understanding containers. Anybody that's doing anything these days in regards to applications needs to understand containers. That's just where it is. And then your networking protocols, understanding your OSI model and understanding the different layers. So understanding your SSH, your HTTP, your HTTPS, DNS, UDP, TCP, all those things. When you if you know that, that goes a long way as well too. Now, a lot of you are probably going to say, well, when do I learn this? How can I learn this? Do I have time? If you study the whole RHCSA, RHCE, and anything Cisco related, just even the intro to the Cisco stuff, this is all covered in this is all of those classes together. When they start talking about the cloud providers and like your cloud architect, solutions architect, all those things, this is what uh again, it's funny because now people only think of solutions architects as solution cloud architects. Like it has to be AWS, it has to be GCP, so forth and so on. And it's so funny because you're it's not just a cloud art. You don't most companies just don't have cloud as their thing, right? Maybe startups, but the older, mature companies like your IBMs, your Coca Colas, everything is not in the cloud. A lot of that stuff is on prem, or they got a hybrid approach or something like that. So, you know, whatever. So I would say I would I would caution here and say yes to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and whatever cloud. And then I would say, and it's also good to know VMware or some type of on-prem solution. So it makes you just much more of a lethal weapon than what you normally see. And then down here, I talked about the configuration management and so forth. And then we have, again, CI/CD tools with Circle CI, again, GitLab, CI, so forth, Travis, and so forth. And then your automation with your Terraform, which most people can keep you agnostic. Cloud formation keeps you directly in AWS. And then you have secrets management, again, cloud, vault, uh, secrets, secrets inside of AWS and so forth. And then they have infrastructure monitoring connected to secret management. I get it, but really the dashboard is really what they want to talk about. Here's your registries, your container registries where your artifacts are kept. Here's your GitOps here with Argo CD and Flux CD. And then, of course, now we're starting to get into there's different things to monitor, right? So if you think about an entire system, you have to think about you need application monitoring, you need system monitoring, you need network monitoring, you need security monitoring. You also need monitoring of the registries. You need human monitoring, in other words, who has access to the system. Still a security thing, but you need to understand who has access, how long do they have access for to whatever it is that they're getting access to, right? So again, there's when we're talking about monitoring and security, they go hand in hand, but at the same token, you have to understand what that looks like as well. All right, so then we have over here service mesh with Itio. You could put Cilium and Envoy on here as well too. And then understanding cloud design patterns, availability, data management, design, implementation, and management and monitoring. I would say that is falls under infrastructure if you want to, because you need to understand the availability of the servers, the hardware, the data management. How does data flowing, a data strategy, data priority, design and implementation. What is the design? What is how are we setting things up? How do we update? How do we scale? Are we horizontal? Are we vertical? And then management and monitoring, like I said, that all goes into hand to hand back to what I said with your data monitoring, the security, the whole nine, all that falls into place. And let me know if all this makes sense to you all. Just let me know. Just put a one in the chat if all this makes sense. Because I'm gonna go over to this. Mm, how do I want to look this up? RACA. Okay, so under Red Hat, um, there's your RHC or your RHCA. So you have your RHCA, and if you come in here, let me go back up. They got it broken out for your RHCA with different avenues. So you could be like an OpenShift specialist, right? Which really deals more with platforms and more than anything. Um, and within that platform, there are different aspects of the platform that you can master. And then you have here, as you can see here, application acceleration. So here they start talking about cloud native integration, containers, event driven development with Kafka. So understanding what Kafka is and data management and data delivery is huge. It's just one of the little niches that you can fall into where Kafka is dealing with event streams and so forth. Just imagine you getting 4 terabytes of data squeezed in every 30 seconds or every 50 seconds or every hour or whatever the case may be. Just imagine how much data you're getting fed that has to be basically scanned, it has to be cleaned, and then it has to be segregated up and then delivered to you. All right. So again, when you're talking about the different paths, again, I'm still all centered around infrastructure. It's a very loose umbrella under infrastructure. So then you have your DevOps containers and OpenShift right here as a combination of those. And then let's go back up. For those that are doing like the RACE side, right? You still have the Open Hybrid Cloud program, right? So now this is where they fall in and start talking about Rosa, which is the Red Hat on AWS, and then there's Rosa on. It's not Rosa for Azure, it's something else. I forget what it is. But then you got containers, OpenShift virtualization, which is fairly new. Then we start talking about OpenShift AI, and then OpenShift AI, Linux AI. All these things here are all the things that fall under, again, infrastructure, right? Justice, thank you for hanging out with us. Now you're getting into DevOps, containers, and OpenShift program. Again, same thing, but now we're talking about multi-cluster. And then you have Ansible platform. Again, here, OpenShift AI. Then you get into the telco side of Red Hat. And remember, just because it's Red Hat doesn't mean that SUSE doesn't have these same initiatives that fall under their stuff. It doesn't mean that Debian doesn't have these same initiatives that fall under their things. Red Hat's just much more industry wide standard. Red Hat, between Red Hat and SUSE, and even Ubuntu. You'll get some people that really do Debian, but they'll be on an edge, very, very something that can't take too much processing power. So when you're looking at that. So this is again the Linux mastery, where they talk about diagnostics, performance, identity, high availability cluster, security, Ansible platform, so forth. Right. So when we talk about infrastructure, it's so vast. You could literally be in the infrastructure game and specialize in storage, Ceph, Databricks, uh, LVM, thin pools, thick pools, understanding how those things work, how to move, how to use a particular product from HP to Dell to Pure Storage, whatever the case may be. You can be really, really niche if you wanted to. Another big one that goes unsaid all the time is the whole element of security, because there's security in a data center, and then there's security in a Kubernetes cluster, and then there's security in a rack or VLANs, or quality of the actual QoS, quality of the service, um jumbo frames, those things. So again, you could fall into any one of those niche and be in it for 20 years. There are people out there that have done nothing but Cisco networking for 20 years. There are people out there that have done nothing but just building out Linux boxes. And then there are people who've been working at the help desk for 20 years, and they know everything about that help desk, those products, and so forth and so on, right? So going back to the original topic, when people tell you that money don't matter, again, money does matter. Um, the other piece to that is being able to utilize your skill set to get what you need, or be able to pay for what you need, right? So that's where that comes into play. The next part of this is, out of all of this, is your career trajectory. How long can you stay in this field with these skill sets? A very long time. Um, you could go work at from working on satellites to working on um, handheld radios to working on routers and switches to whatever the case may be. Like the sky is the limit. The question is, do you want it? Is there something that you're willing to make some sacrifice for in order to study up? Are you willing to put the time and effort into it and ignore the distractions, right? And that's the hardest part about all of this, is understanding that you have to set yourself apart and not worry about the distractions. Focus in on what you need to do to be great for yourself. right? Um, a lot of times, a lot of people get into this game, right, to make the money, which is fine. But what are you going to do that makes you happy while you're in it, right? If the work you're doing doesn't make you don't make you excited about it, um and sometimes it may not even be the work, it may just be the money that you're getting from it, that allow you to do other things to make yourself happy. I will also say that you have to enjoy the work. Dia tell you, she'll tell you all the time, I enjoy the work. It's easy work. If you ask me, I use the Linux terminal for domain lookup. Oh yeah, great, great, Miss Kitty. Use it for whatever you need to use it for. Stay on the command line is what I tell folks. And I'll say this for those that are following the security steps. If you're gonna go security, at least know how to use Linux commands and make yourself useful in security with Linux, and make yourself useful if you go another route with security and understanding the command line. It goes a long way. You get a lot more phone calls versus someone who's just pushing out papers and so forth, right? You get a lot more phone calls, and it makes it easier to hire you because you're not just pushing paperwork. Because everybody don't need a paperwork pusher. They need someone that's gonna get on the command line and do some things, right? All right, so let me pull up this here. So the U.S. Space Force taps 12 firms for $237 million for small satellite procurement. Why am I talking about that? This goes back to what I was just talking about, right? The whole thing with satellites, edge computing, it's a thing. It is not going anywhere. So let's get into this article. All right. The U.S. Space Force has selected 12 companies for a 10-year deal for $237 million to develop and deploy small satellites under a new procurement initiative aimed at advancing military space technology through commercial innovation. The agreement, known as the Space Test Experiments Platform Step 2.0 in the Department of Defense Border Space Test Program, administered by the Space Force Space System and the IDIQ contract, allows selected vendors to compete for a series of tasks to build satellite buses, modular spacecraft, and a host of experimental payloads. Let's see. The list of the selected companies announced May 1st includes defense and aerospace firms such as LM, Lockheed Martin. So I would be going to look at jobs over there. General Atomics, as well as specialized space firms such as Blue Canyon Technology, Loft Orbital Federal, Spire Global, Terrain Orbital, York Space Systems. Also named were Axient, Link Global, Orbit Systems, Turon Space, and Utah University. It's affiliated with Dynamics Lab. You probably never heard of none of these companies before. Probably didn't even know they existed. So now here's a set of companies where you guys can go look up, see what they need, see what they're hiring for, and go from there. So let's take one off the list. Somebody pick one, and we'll go search. We'll go search. Whoever types the first one in the chat, that's the one I'll go with. Let's see who responds off of this list. We got Lockheed Martin, um, General Atomics, Blue Canyon Technologies, Loft Orbital, Orbital Federal, Spire Global, Terrain Orbital, York Space Systems, Axient, Link Global, Orbit Systems, Turon Space, and Utah State University. Somebody said Blue Canyon. Let's go with Blue Canyon. All right. Let's see. Blue Canyon. Space awaits who we are. They've done 83 launches, the components launch, so forth and so on. I'm gonna blow this up. All right, now let's go and look and see. See spacecrafts, spacecraft overview: Saturn 200, Venus 100, 16U CubeSat, 12U CubeSat, 6U. The different components, mission services. Let's go to company. I don't know why it did that to me. Here we go. Let's go careers. I hear the careers here. Um, we got a general engineering. They're in look like they're in Lafayette, Colorado. Um, executive director of spacecraft, executive director of engineering, a senior technician under manufacturing, mission assurance, a program manager, a quality assurance engineer, and then of course some testing positions. Of course, they need testers, and that's what they got so far, right? And they're based out of Colorado. A hardware quality engineer. I'm looking to see what else they had on here. I might have missed. Yeah, that was it. All right, so now let's go back to this one. Let's look at this one right here. I'm assuming this is this one. Okay, so they got it working out like this. Oops. So they have it broken out in cybersecurity, digital solutions, mission support, science and engineering, and then test and evaluation. So they already got the categories broken out for you to go and look at stuff. So let's look at cybersecurity. What they have? Okay, so they got some work at Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, Virginia. Some DC work, some Hanscom, and then some over at Lackland, El Segundo, and then Boulder, Boulder, not Border. All right. So again, when you're looking at these companies, look and see where they're at, and also look and see what conferences they also are showing up at. Like check their social media page to see what conferences they're at, because you may not need to go in through the front door by applying. You may can walk in your resume to a conference that may be near you, or a conference you can get to really easily. And for those that are like maybe an hour or 2 hours outside the city. And so now you're putting yourself in the front of the line, able to make a rapport and speak with some people and so forth. So I would check out social media for that. And I also would check out if they got a YouTube page or something like that. Most of the time they don't keep up with their social media. Sometimes they do. Like Redhead keeps up with their stuff, but not everybody does that. Let's see. Mr. Kitty said cybersecurity nowadays is learning about multicast, unicast, broadcast, configuration of VLAN inside. Yep. But it's the other piece is you gotta know what those are, right? You gotta know what those are. All right. So we talked about Space Force and the companies that they got tapped for 237 million to build small satellites. All right. All right. So Special Forces is Space Force Social Operations Command. So they're getting I guess a soft sock, if we want to call it SF sock, if you want to say it that way. But they're looking to expand. So if you're not familiar with all these what I'm talking about, let me see if I could pull up the proper name. Let me see. um let's see. because I don't know the proper name. Okay, yeah. Okay, I asked our buddy ChatGPT um to give us in terms of. I mean, I asked to give me other places like SOCOM. It says here U.S. military, U.S. government, or military organizations that are similar to SOCOM in terms of mission, scope, elite operations, or strategic importance, and depending on your context, right? So here we have other places like CENTCOM. They deal with Middle East, Central Asia. INDOPACOM deals with the China, North Korea, and Pacific allies. We got AFRICOM deals with Africa. UCOM deals with Europe and parts of Asia. Cybercrime is global. Cybercom is global. Spacecom dealing with the space domain. Northcom dealing with North America, and Stratcom dealing with with this global, dealing with strategic deterrence, nuclear global strike, and then mission defense, and then Transcom, transportation, logistics, and support. And I'm sure you never heard of any of these places before. But these are also places where you could go literally look for jobs. Your CENTCOM, you can look for jobs there and so forth. And then they had the different agencies, and what each role of what each agency plays and so forth. And then you have elite and specialized mission units, right? Yeah, yeah, JSOC, MARSOC, NSW, AFSOC, Army Special Forces, and then the 75th Ranger uh, Regiment. And all these places you can go apply for jobs and get jobs with those things. But again, you have to find someone that's be willing to sponsor your clearance and then go from there. But these are different locations that you can also find jobs at, right? Um, let me go back over to here. Oh yeah, that's me working with Safe. We talked about that. All right, and I think okay, this is a good one. Let me look. Yeah, I think we're okay with going here. All right, so I always run across these articles, and these articles usually, but always talk about the minimum net worth, right? The minimum net worth. What do you think it is to be considered in the upper class in your 50s? Now, here's the caveat. I think Fidelity came back and said most people have what 237,000 in their 401k, roughly about 250 in the 401k. So this is what here's the minimum net worth to be considered. And it says net worth now, and then say that that you need to be more so liquid or real estate or what have you. It just says your overall net worth. The magical number is 3.2 million, I believe it was. Or 3 million. You need at least 3 million. From my experience working with high net worth clients, I say you need to be at least at 3.2 million to be considered solidly upper class in the 50s. 3.2 million. All right. So the question is, what are you going to do to get there? Because one thing we do know, once prices go up on food, correct me if I'm wrong. Have y'all seen the same numbers or same sales numbers as you did in 2019, as you do now, after the whole uh, C-19 scare? Uh, are the do you feel like food prices have dropped or at least gotten back to what you would say as normal or before COVID? Because if that's not the case, you're gonna have to take into consideration for in retirement, um, your food costs, your your medical costs as well, right? and also how your money is actually um in different things, right? So give me, when I'm gonna ask this question, give me um your, you could type it up and I'll read it out. Give me your split. So here's what I mean by your split. And this is something you should be thinking about now. Say your net worth is this 3 million that they're saying. Are you gonna have 2.5 million in real estate? Are you gonna have 2.5 million in cash? Are you gonna have 2.5 million in stocks or bonds or what have you? What is gonna be your ratio? And when you start setting that stuff up now, um, and looking at the totality of the situation, this will help you understand how sometimes they get to these numbers with 3 million. Because somebody could have a million in real estate, and then somebody else could have a million in Apple stocks, right? Just all they played all their life. It's just Apple, or they play Amazon. So you guys need to think about how your pots are going to be set up, and what does that look like. So if you know you got 20, 30 years in the game left, start setting up your pots now, or at least think about them. And then maybe you set them up in a year from now, but at least have those pots up. What age do you all think you all are retiring at? I would love to know that one. What age? Put your age that you think you're gonna retire in the chat. Let's see what we get back. We got some 65. Farron 83. 70. I retired at 28 selling my software company. Gotcha. Congratulations. Jerry, you said 65. I see some 55s to 60s. You said you want to retire at 65. Okay. All right. All right. So for those that did put their number in there, what is the magic number for retired? What's your magic number? Is it 2 million, 3 million, 500,000? Like what is your number? You said you can only imagine yourself putting in 10 hard earnest years. 44? Okay, so Ariel, you say 44 now. I'm assuming you got a marvelous plan. That's my assumption. 67. Somebody said 500,000. Okay. KD, you say 55 to 60. So that's retirement before the official age. What's your number? All right, S. Taylor said at least 2 million. I hear you on that, S. Taylor. You gonna tell them what it is. 53, flash wave, 53 and 62. So you're gonna be partially at 53. I can see that. What are you gonna do to make up that difference from 53 to 62? KD, you say your number is 3 million by the time you're 55 or by the time you're 60? Okay, you just started back. Okay. You said when you calculated 6.8 million. I hear you. Some to Fur, you said to be honest, this year doesn't even exist. Okay, you said 55. Okay, so let's uh let's do this. We'll just I'll just make it simple. I'll do 5 million in retirement. 0.1% have 5 million in retirement accounts. All right, so let's go down and do 3 million. All right, 0.8% usually get there, and then last but not least, 1 million. All right, 3.2% of U.S. retirees have more than 1 million. That may be inclusive of the 3 million there that I was looking at. All right, so let's go here. What they're showing. All right, it's saying 1 million, 3.2% of retirees have over a million saved. 1.8% of retirees have 2 million saved, and 0.8% have 3 million saved. It's important to note these figures represent the percentage of retirees who have these savings, not necessarily the percentage of all U.S. adults. The average net worth for those around 65 to 74 is 1.2 million, while those at 75 and older average around 958,000. Right? So putting that into perspective is going to be key here. Um, Having those buckets again set up so that you can, you know, I showed you the numbers to calculate 24/7, 7 days a week. For someone to have a home nurse, right, 24/7. So you imagine that you yourself, as you get older, um having that. Now I'm only talking about single, right, being single. Imagine if you are if it's two of you all, right? Now you tell me, if it's two of y'all and one doesn't work and the other one is working, does money matter? You tell me. Imagine if it's two of y'all and one makes significantly more than the other, um and the other may be, um I don't know, I don't want to say the word hobbying, but they may not be taking what they do seriously. They just got something that they're doing, right? This could be man or woman. And then the other scenario is, imagine you both have been working and retired, and you really don't have money saved up to for the medical bills and so forth, and you both have maybe chronically ill, and taking care and trying to take care of each other. Now, this happens as people get older, right? This happens as people get older. Now, I'm gonna ask the bombshell question. Um, how many of you all are relying on family and children to take care of you? That's the reason why I'm asking this question. Uh, when you say health insurance was included, are you saying in your selling of your company, the health insurance was included? I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. And Ariel, you said you used the formula from Tony Robinson, Money Master, the gang book. Got you. Ariel, that is correct. It is not your children's responsibility, but a lot of people do think it's their children's responsibility. Come on, somebody got to take care of you. This is, again, I'm only putting it out here just to give you a little bit more perspective on and knowledge on why working in tech matters, why making the most of your skill set at any point in time matters. And the reason for that is being able to pay for whatever it is that you want to get the help that you need, or what have you, whatever that looks like. If we're not, if you're not, if you know that you're gonna be single or whatnot, and or let me say it this way, if you know you're not good at cultivating relationships with people, And as you get older, you become recluse and more isolated and more isolated. You're going to have to find a way to have enough money for someone to come in and check on you. It's just what it is. It's just the truth. It says Ariel said, "Well, financially it's not, but I hope my kids want to help me physically if needed." I hear you, but what if they can't? What if they can't? What if they're busy in their own lives and they can't? Right? It may be that one time um, that you want a pot of tea, and you want to get up and get that pot of tea and can't make it. Just put some thoughts around that. That's all I'm doing. I'm just sending a message around here. Mr. Kitty says family takes care for each other. That's what we believe. That's what we want, right? That's what we want. That's what we want. That's what we hope for. Regardless of whether or not you were nice to the person or y'all got along well, you will hope that your interactions and your extended time with each other has formed a bond and a relationship where that person care enough for you to make sure that you got a glass of water. It's not always guaranteed. Not everybody feels the same way you feel. Miss Two Beloved, a friend with no kids in a different state, just had a stroke. She got to get up on Medicaid quickly. No one to help. And again, the question becomes then, what does her finances look like? Is she retired? Can she go back to work? All those things come into play. And if they're talking about cutting Medicaid and Social Security and Medicare, then what do you have then? Then what do you have then? Right? So I'm only highlighting like the to get you to understand like your skill sets are important. Your ability to make whatever it is that you want is important. Putting yourself out there and going after it aggressively, um, but strategically, is important. And knowing, like, I kind of look at maybe a bad analogy here. I kind of look at this. I kind of look at this like a python, right? The snake, not the programming language. But I kind of look at it like that. Like when you look at a python, it it it'll sit there, stare at you, strike quickly, right? Like, well, not a python. I'm thinking about a cobra, right? There's a strike there, right? There's no, there's no wasted movement, right? So you have to do the same thing. You don't have time for the distractions. You cannot waste your movement and your energy and your time on the nonsense. And so you're going to have to really look at every aspect of this. If I go study this, what is the potential outcome? And a lot of people ask this question all the time, how long is it going to take me to study? The answer is, how hungry are you? It's not about how long is it going to take me, it's how hungry are you? So when y'all are out there trying to figure out how long it's going to take to study something, stop asking that question. The question you should be asking is, how hungry are you? Because that is really going to determine the time it takes for you to study something. The other part of that question is, what you study, do you understand it? And can you perform at a top level with it, with your studies after you study? And so that may take some time to craft and understand that, but it shouldn't take you 10 years. Like, it just shouldn't take you 10 years, right? You owe it to yourself to be strategic. You owe it to yourself to not allow others to waste your time. And you also owe it to yourself to put your best foot forward and make the most money you can, right? Make the most money you can. And if people do not value your time and they do not respect your time, then they are not on your list. You just don't entertain them. And I can only say it from this perspective. And this has nothing to do with my mom or anything of that nature. It has more to do with how much time do you really think that you're going to be working in this industry? Like, how much time do you really think you're going to be working in this industry or any industry? Truck drivers, how long are you going to be able to drive a truck? Really? Like, what is your timeline on that? Construction workers, trades, what's really your timeline on that? Like, how do you really know you're going to be able to do this job that you're saying that you're going to do? I've been in this arena for 24 years. Are you going to really be able to do it for another for 40 years, 30, 40 years? Like, really, are you going to be able to do what you've been doing and perform at a high capacity for the next 30 to 40 years? Right? So those of you that are 25, you're going to be able to perform at a level up until you're 55 or whatever you set your goal for retirement is. If you're saying you're going to retire at 40, or you're going to have enough money from 40 to death, let's call it what it is, to do what it is that you want to do. And if the answer is no, then that's where you need to start with a plan. What's your plan? How are you going to get there? What steps are you going to take? Who you're going to have in your network? Who's going to be who's who really likes you? Who really likes you is a big thing, right? And I'm not talking about who really likes you for somebody to come take care of you. I'm talking about somebody who really likes you to see to encourage you on your journey and who actually wants to be a part of your world, right? That's all I'm saying. Um, thanks for you're picking up one, putting down Ariel. Yep, physical care and daily routines. Yep. MJ, you said you want to retire like Warren Buffett, enjoying going to work business, not needing to go to work. Yep. Solid steps. Thank you for joining us. What's going on out there? Hope you're safe on the road. Yeah, ROI should apply to everything. Yep. What's the investment on return? I'm willing to sacrifice to get the results. It's just that simple. Yep. Thanks MB for hopping in. Mr. Kitty, you said I am becoming 50 years old soon, and daily coding is from the past, but maintenance is daily. Yep. But then not only that, you're talking about daily coding. Now we're talking about your hands constantly, carpal tunnel and just again back and forth, the eyes, the wear and tear on the eyes. That's the other piece of tech that doesn't I don't think that get talked about a lot. You get this VSP program inside of your insurance or whatnot, but nobody never really talks about the strain on your eyes in tech. That never gets talked about. People just like, yeah, you just go to the doctor and they'll tell you what you need. You go to the eye doctor and they tell you what you need. Nobody never talks about that piece. I'm sure the screens, the cover screens, the resting of your eyes, all of that, but nobody never really. It's not a conversation that they talk about. Like we got specialty insurance in your package for your eyes because we understand the wear and tear. of that, right? No one talks about that. Easy does it says it's a worry. I had my vision is very poor and continues to get worse. Going back to a computer for 8 to 10 hours a day is a concern for me. Yeah, but no, it's never it never gets talked about. Any insurance rise. So all your screens are dark, night shift mode, no blue light. Yep, it's just one of the things that I think it's talked about in the community, but it's not. The companies that you work for don't include uh any type of wear and tear on your eyes, um the posture, the whole nine. That's not what I usually find. You said reading glasses is what I find important that they work. I bet you they do. My grandma had reading glasses and a magnifying glass. So did my mama. That big old magnifying glass. Look what they say, baby. Okay. Miss Beloved, Miss True Beloved. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just thankful for the ability to have the options to. Not everybody has the options to. And when I say the options to, meaning like uh, the options to be able just to pay for, whatever you need to pay for. Oh, this it says, do you think it's not important to? I think the employees don't bring it up enough, so it doesn't become important to the employers. Let me say it that way. I think the employees are like, go get some glasses, and here are the alternative things that I can do to protect myself. But it could also be flipped where the employers say, we owe our employees this protection. Let us put this into a package so they could have that protection. Because I mean, once you start, once I remember when I got glasses, I was sitting in the classroom and I was writing down what was on the board, this, that, and other, and I missed every single one of the um every single one of the questions. We were just doing addition and multiplication, and I got an F, and I was like, "How did I get an F? This is what it." She's like, I went over to her, and she looked at me. She's like, "Can you see that?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, that's not what you have written down here." I was like, "Oh." And then she's like, "Cover one eye, then do the other one." She's like, "Oh, you need glasses." I was like, "No." Back in the day, the glasses that they had for us, they did us so wrong. All right, they always talking about geeks. And they did us so wrong. You come in there with them big old thick Coca-Cola bottle glasses, and they were plastic. And then if you look to the side of them, you can see the medicine in them, like 3 4. See the little medicines in them for your vision and stuff like that. They fall off your face. You gotta push them back up and stuff. Like they did us all wrong. They did us all wrong. Yeah, D, we sat in pairs here and there, but not for this particular time. We didn't sit in pairs. Yes, I do consulting calls. We just have not opened them back up. Um, Probably need to open back up for the month of May, in the May and June, as well. Um, you said I've been wearing glasses since the third, eighth grade. Getting contacts. I didn't get contacts till I was an adult. So I'm trying to think when we was growing up, was contacts even an option? I don't think contacts was even an option. When did contacts come out? They say 1887. Mm, 1980 extended wear software lenses and daily disposables. That's what they say. Hmm. Cause I was like, I don't remember them offering contacts when I first started. Not in the fourth grade, but when as you became an adult. Your stepdad had those thick glasses, D. Miss to be loved. You said, and you have astigmatism. Mm. It's a cruel world out here. All right, so those are my things. So one of the big things, like I say, having your money stacked up. So let's look at where to put your savings that you'll need. Now, I want to caveat this. We do understand that there is uh, a, um, there are losses being in the stock market right now, and being able to recover or maintain what you have is another big thing. So a lot of people have moved over to being liquid, and so they don't have to worry about that. But let's look at where to put money. Where to put savings you'll need in the next 5 years, according to financial experts. Let's run through this. It's been a few solid weeks in the stock market as investors have digested news of the installation and pause of new tariffs, ebbing and flowing trade wars, and saber rattling between President Donald Trump and the Federal Reserve. As the marketplace closed on Monday, the S&P 500 was down 10%. Was down about 10% from what it was in February. So that's a big loss. Amid the recent bouts of market turbulence, market experts have been clear in the message to younger and long-term investors: keep buying. Of course, keep buying, but what are you buying? Are you buying Palantir? They're I think in their call this Monday. Is Palantir called this Monday? Are you buying Walmart? Um are you buying Intel? Are you getting into an ETF that has it all, or a REIT? What are you gonna do, right? That when we're talking about dividing up this pot and where you're gonna put your money at. All right. The rationale is simple. If you're decades away from a goal of retirement, your portfolio has a plenty of time to recover from short-term setbacks. Given the historical upward trajectory of the stock market returns, including ones from far steeper than the current one, have been an excellent times to buy. So let's go look at this trajectory. If you're worried about the bear market, look at this one chart. Yeah. All right. Do I need to make this bigger? I wish I could get rid of that top piece. All right. So here, and I'm assuming for 38 days, the biggest bear market down 48.2%. But if we come over here, um, down minus 56%. And so they're expected to go past what we have now and then get a big boom. That's what that is. It says the future back you go, the less severe the bear markets look. The Great Depression hardly even registers. The historical upward trajectory of the stock market has reduced the greatest economic calamity U.S. history into a blip. Says, and if the market history tells us it's that downturns are the most best times to buy. So again, buy, assuming you have the resources to continue regularly investing. Again, having the resources to continue regularly investing. What resources are they talking about? It sure is not talking about your um stamp collection you ain't cashed in, right? What resources are they talking about? As they always say, your money needs to be making money, right? Miss to be loved. I'm looking at healthcare and assisted living because the boomers are retiring. They're retiring, and if it may behoove some people to go into these places, I'm not telling you to be a predator at all, but to sit down and just talk um to folks. 'Cause sometimes, I think who was out with? It might have been my mom, but anyway, no, because she went in. No, it wasn't her or somebody else. They were saying they was in the hospital, and the whole time they had been there, no one had ever came in to see this patient that was in there. As well, like no one ever came by, stopped by to get a status update. Nobody did nothing. So nobody ever came by to check on the person. I can't remember who that was. But then, again, you have to ask yourself in those situations, um, what is the insurance like? And what happens when it's time for them to go home, right? What does that look like? So, you get invested in them assisted living facilities. Or what I would say on those assisted living facilities is find a REIT that contains them and use that as an investment. Let me see. Let me look. Let me see if they got the names. Blow this up. It looks like this is called Narrow's Actively Managed Real Estate Fund Tracker. Tracks quarterly, 26 largest real estate, blah, blah. So let me go back. All right, here they go. Right here. Healthcare Realty Trust. Thank you, Newsweek. Sabra Healthcare, National Health Investors, LTC Properties, and Well Tower, and they say here's the yield. So it looks like HR is one. Sabra Healthcare, and then LTC Properties. You glad we're back? Okay. Now, also, are you also looking to buy those assisted living facilities? I'm gonna go back to the thing. Yeah. All right. Let me get down here to the joints. Okay. Yeah. Long term. By the time you retire, blah blah blah. All right. We'll read it out. Between 1945, between December 1945 and March of this year, the S&P 500 experienced a correction, a drawdown between 10% and 19.9%, 24 times with an average decline of 14%, according to the data from investing search firm CFRA. From the index's lowest level, it took an average of 4 months to break even. So again, if you're severely losing, it's going to take time to recover. In the 14 instances of the bear market over the period, the decline from peak to lasted on average 13 months before things started turning around. Once they did, a new peak was found in 23 months. And so they're they're showing here what the declines and the recoveries in since 1946 for the stock market. The two that ain't got the dates. Let me look and see if they got anything else. They had nothing else in here. They ain't had nothing else. Let me see. Let me go over here, back over here to where to put your money at. Let's see what that looks like. Short term. Looks like they got bond and mutual funds again. We talked about this, the fees. Okay, you're looking for REITs. But again, we're talking about fees for bond and mutual funds. So be careful on this. And understand that how fast the bond grows. Those bonds and those mutual funds. You got fees coming in and you got fees going out. So understand that. They say they got a mix of cash, short term, and intermediate bonds. We get look going through, just going through doing this real quick. Let's see. Mm, mm, mm. I'm just scanning through trying to see if they got something that stood out. The cash piece of your portfolio should be pretty low maintenance. Yes. Like they say, the safest option for short term cash is a high yield savings account. I agree. I didn't see nothing that stood out to me other than keep buying low, high yield savings account, which we already knew. Um, then they got short terms. Any money you need in less than 2 or 3 years, such as a down payment on a home, doesn't belong to in an investment that has a real chance of losing money. So this is what they say: do short term high, like a high yield savings account. You may be able to earn slightly higher return with a similar risk profile from the money market or short term with a bond mutual fund. Uh, let's do this. Let's see what it says. All right, so government bonds. So here we go. I asked ChatGPT to give me some examples of a bond mutual fund. All right, so we got Vanguard Intermediate Treasury Fund, VFITX, key holdings, treasuries, and with a 3 to 10 year maturity. Fidelity US based index fund, Schwab, US tips, SCHP, treasury inflation protected securities. Yep. So they just an example. You can go look these up on I would look this one up because it's similar to Sketch. Let's see. And let's look at it for the past year. So it got some ups and downs with it. Let's see how's it perform over the past 5 years. This is what it looked like over the past 5 years. That's a big down right here. It's been like on a rocky road, more consistent in from 24 to 25. But this right here is just to decline. So again, utilize all your websites, your Googles, your Swabs, your Fidelities, to look up these different things. Mm, mm. Meetup is on meetup.com slash women in Linux, and you can sign up there. Now I want to talk about Trump. All right. I kind of hinted at this about the 401k, people leaving their 401k and putting their stuff in other places. Kind of is where that conversation came from. But they also said U.S. investors are fleeing the U.S. stock market target date funds and putting their money in three places. And should you follow? Let's go see what they're talking about. All right, are where 401k investors are moving their money. According to the latest A Light 401k index, the flows are unmistakable. Outflows were primarily from the US large cap stock funds and target date retirement funds, typically the backbone of long term portfolios. Meanwhile, inflows mainly surged into stable value funds, bond funds, and money market accounts. That's what it looks like. They're going into the bonds, the bond funds, and we just looked up one of those as well too. Stable value funds were the biggest winners, pulling in 40% of the gross of the month's trading inflows, offered in only in retirement plans. These funds contain high quality short to intermediate bonds and are designed with insurance wrap contracts to protect both the principal and the accumulated interest. This means upon withdrawal, participants are guaranteed both even if the bonds in the fund decline in value. What is this? Uh, no, young investor, blah blah blah. I'm just kind of scanning through. Yeah, see, they didn't give y'all much on this one. Some of these articles, you be like, oh yes. Let me look and see if I missed the three places. Stable value funds, bond funds, and money markets. Yeah, and I put some money in money markets, but don't really expecting like this grandiose big return on that. Yeah, and I think you all have been hearing about this. You probably hear this repeatedly. After they fired all them people or gave them the early leave situation, now they scrambling to hire people to get into those positions. And this one in particular is the U.S. Department of Agriculture Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. Yeah. So again, I think it was 73 jobs that was listed out here. Yeah. Here we go. The agency is looking for scientists, budget analysts, technicians, inspectors, and a veterinarian to carry out its mission to protect health, welfare, and value of Americans' plant, animals, and natural resources. Right. So there's system scrambling from Doge, Nvidia. So Nvidia CEO said um 50% of the AI researchers are Chinese. What you want us to do, boss? So go out and become AI researchers where where they're filling those roles, those positions, with again it says here 50% are Chinese. Um, it's still a chance out there for us to come back and actually go learn uh, AI research. What does look like? And then two, what does it look like for the next generation, for the kids or teenagers, or those that are trying to figure out what they're gonna do next in life? Maybe steer them towards that. Miss Too Beloved, you said, I'm thinking this is a play to get rid of people with higher salaries. they were hired with a lower salary. Yeah, but define higher pay. Define that, right? All right. Um, Gen Z grads are right. Degrees don't matter to top employers. CEO who has studied thousands of company confirms. Do you believe that? Yes or no? I interpret that CEO message as 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 a call, and I've said this before, and let me say it this way. To me, and this is just what I have seen. India is good at data. They do data well. Then all the KubeCon conferences, then all the Red Hat conferences, doing all the platform DevSecOps, and really in particular around data. That's because their whole entire country was dedicated to that. China was dedicated to AI, right? Is it Iran that's dedicated to cereal? Not cereal. Iran's dedicated to security, right? So to me, I think the United States has to declare something. They have to stand by something. What is that something? I don't know. I don't know if it's quantum. I don't know if it's AI or AI and quantum, but they've already declared quantum as a national security threat. And we don't have enough. And this is why I said I wasn't going to talk about this. This is why I call BS on not getting degrees. Right? Yeah, Chinese government requires kids as first grade to learn AI in school starting in 2027. Right? Yeah. So let's talk about it. Controversial. Everybody hates to talk about it. Or it's a talking point and it doesn't have any context behind it. Let me say it that way. I swear that was going to be my next question. Right. All right. So, all right, let's talk about it because everybody, I was gonna make it a topic. Then I said, nah, I ain't gonna make that a topic at all. Now we're gonna bypass it. Let's talk about it. Is it worth it getting a degree? Okay, let's play that game because I think a lot of people um miss out on some things, some context. All right. So my personal opinion, is it worth it to get a degree? Absolutely. But I'm not telling you to go get a degree in AI art. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I know nothing about AI art. I don't know. What I do know is computer engineering has allowed my mind and my hands-on experience to go in and out of different lanes at will because you understand the fundamental concepts. So I kind of lump some of the Cisco and the Linux underneath that, and understanding operating systems under that. Here's where I think we miss out on the whole trades talk. Great, go learn a trade, study it, understand it. Don't do it no more than 3 years, and then go become the private or the become the private equity firm that goes and buys all the businesses that you have been working in. So if you are if you did plumbing for 3 years, you should be able to and understand the business side of everything. We should be looking at buying the businesses, not getting the trade and staying in it for the rest of our lives. Go buy the business. Go buy the business that that other plumbers may have, their routes, whatever the case may be. The other piece to that is understanding what the assets are of in a business. And D does this very well along with Ace Chapman. Because there are assets in businesses that get overlooked. So the mailing list, the way you guys contact people, or the way you follow up on your work or whatnot, right? Those things need to be talked about. So do I think a degree versus a trade is a win? I think we lose out a whole lot. We lose out with our ability to have our own written word, our studies. We lose out on the ability to teach others. And I'm not saying that you have to become a teacher, but you could be a mentor or a teacher without having the title as a teacher or whatnot. And we lose out on the ability to compete with others. There is something to be said about someone who graduated at the top of their class for as a mathematician, and they're able to go in and do these different and understand how to code or do predictive analysis and work in fintech or what have you. It's funny to me that our idea of if you don't go get a degree, you're gonna go get a trade. What I never hear anyone ever say is, if you don't go get the degree, learn how to trade stocks. If you don't go get the degree, learn learn how to uh set up crypto miners. If you don't go get a degree, learn what they're doing in fintech. If you don't go get a degree, learn how to do option trading. I don't hear that, right? I don't hear that conversation. I also don't hear, if you don't go get a degree, study failed businesses and then look at how to make those businesses better, how to grow those businesses. I only hear go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go do HVAC. I don't hear the other sides. That's why I personally don't think it's a conversation to have personally. Everyone wants to say that going to school causes you to have debt. Why would I go to? I see it all the time. I go to college. Uh, Black men don't need to go to college, So here's the other side of that. So you tell, on one side we say black women go to college. On the other side you say black men go get a trade. On the other side you say black women, you should be meeting your man at college. He's on campus. But if he ain't there on at school, then I'm confused where is she supposed to meet this man at, right? He's the plumber at the school, or like where is she supposed to meet him at? Like they were like, well, she doesn't have to meet him, necessarily at the college. He could be in and about. I'm like, I don't know how many of y'all been to college, but most of the time college folks are broke. So the fact that she gonna meet this young lady is gonna meet somebody at this magical hookah spot who happens to be this truck driver, HVAC guy, or what have you, and they fall in love and get and whisk away. It's not conceivable to me. This just my thoughts. I'm gonna read these comments, then I get back. It says a lot of older folks are so unfamiliar with this territory because when I ask folks about this, they don't know, and the knowledge is so abstract and minute. So you say you ask folks. I'm confused as to what you ask. We said we need more financial firms, accounting firms, asset wealth management firms, and financial engineering firms. I agree. I never hear that other side of the conversation. I only hear HVAC. I only hear those things. I don't ever hear um go buy the or have a franchise. Go have a franchises of what's one of those Liberty Tax. Go buy franchises of those. Go stand those up. I don't ever hear that conversation. I don't ever hear the conversation of I do hear the conversation of buy a dump truck. I do hear that and get you a driver. But I never hear the conversation of go buy the business where somebody got some dump trucks and they need help, or they need some funding, or they're about to run out of business, and so they need somebody to come in and save them and buy the business. I don't hear that. I don't hear that conversation. So if we're gonna say on one hand, don't get the degree, but we can't say on one hand, go get these the only 3 or 4 trades that you can get. Because now we're gonna be known as this. And I'm just gonna be blunt with it. Oh, that's a black man. Oh, he probably do HVAC, or he probably a truck driver, or he worked for the city, or he do something with his hands. It's always some back breaking thing. Or if he does not do those things, he probably may it no one ever says he works in tech. No one ever says, "Oh, that's a black man or a black woman, they work in tech." They always be like, "What do you do for work?" They never make the assumption that you work in tech or you are a lawyer or what have you. No one never makes that assumption. Even we don't make that assumption with each other's. Yes, the magical hookah spot, the whimsical gimmick of food, serving your favorites. Lamb chops, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, catfish, um, tilapia, green beans, lemon cake, pound cake, red velvet, Philly steak, egg rolls. That's right, rasta pasta, the whole I don't know what it is with us that is like the number one thing that we go to. I'm opening up a business. You know what I'm gonna serve? Gonna serve pasta. I don't. I don't know why. I don't know why this is our thing. I have not. I haven't figured out. I'm gonna go to this spot. I'm gonna open up a spot. You know what I'm gonna have? I'm gonna serve hookah. Yeah. I don't know why this is a thing. It's the Henny. I got you ain't got that peach. You ain't got that peach. Like that's our thing. I don't know why this is our thing. I don't know why this is our thing. And I'm just saying, like, when we're talking about this, it's just like, can we can we expand it? Yeah, that's why I mentioned at the lamb chops. It's mind boggling. Oh, and let me not forget my favorite, the car detailer and the lawn care guy. Look, I don't know how I forgot those. He's gonna be the car detailer, the mobile car detailer, and the lawn care guy. That's it. And if you ask the lawn care guy, like, why my lawn is dry over here, Oh, what do I need to put down to make it bounce back? I don't know. He don't never know. He just know how to cut grass. He don't know how to know. He don't know. He don't know how to make sure that the grass is, maybe check the sprinklers, or maybe you need to put down blah 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 blah. None of that. None of that. That's right. Oxtails, correct. Seafood boil. And dog, I'm sure it does do pretty well. But here's the question. I'm gonna give it to you, from this perspective. How sustainable is that for 30 years, 40 years? Can you get down low enough? Like, I know my car detail guy, he's like, man, I can't get down there that low to be scrubbing the bottom of your car like that. I was like, what, sir? This is why you need to figure this out. Right? It's not sustainable. All I'm saying is, if we're not gonna go to school, what industry and what are you gonna do for the next 30 to 40 years that's sustainable mentally and physically? And if you can't drive trucks, like some of y'all, listen, man, truck drivers, man, shout out to y'all. Y'all out here working the game. I hear you, I see you. But let me tell you something. Y'all don't make it 30, 40 years. Your health don't be good. You be out of shape. Y'all be having heart attacks, triple bypass surgery. You ain't in shape. You eat, sleep, and drive. I get it. I get it. It's not sustainable. They require them to be able to read and write. Good luck. Right? So, do I think we need degrees? Absolutely. Do I think we need to be strategic about the degrees? Yes. And I don't know why people keep talking about all black women go to school and they get degrees in art, or they get degrees in whatever. It's crazy to me that we're now at this juncture, because here's the thing. They're telling your kids you don't need to worry about going to school and getting a degree. But they send their kids to school and get degrees. They're building out whole networks. They're starting out whole new ventures. They're starting out whole new companies. And if their kids are not going to school to get degrees, they're shadowing someone who's an entrepreneur in venture capitalist and private equity, or run a a tech startup, or is a lawyer and they have a large law firm or whatnot. So you're gonna tell this kid not to go get a degree, but your mom is over here with a degree in nursing, and you're gonna tell him not to go get a degree. He just need to focus on being a great person. Meanwhile, he's being a great person working at Amazon, and Amazon having layoffs, and so he don't make no money. Oh, and by the way, he struggled in math in high school, and he could barely read. And you want him now? You He now wants to go out and he wants to date a woman and wants to have a relationship with her, and then have kids, and then have a family, and then mad. You see what I'm saying? You see how this goes? And the same thing on the other side, of the young girl side. She don't go to school. She the bottle girl at Prime. She the bottle girl over at Strokers. She make her money, this, that, and other. You mean tell me you gonna be the bottle girl at Strokers for the next 20, 30, 40 years? I mean, hey, that's your thing. That's your thing. But how is this sustainable? Like, we gotta talk in terms of sustainability. Yes, we need HVAC. Yes, we need plumbers. Yes, we need all these things. But for how long do you need to keep doing those things? When do you shift? When do you when do you shift? What's your pivot? Right? Library science, nursing, and communications are degrees most black women I know have. Also, the first people I met who had mechanical engineering bachelors were black women. Yeah, and it's funny because most of the women I know is different. It's nursing, it's marketing, it's an MBA, it's lawyers, um, computer engineers, um, doctors, PhD in nuclear engineering. Like it depends. Like I know so many different varies of that. Kamai said being greater than what we know is key, moving in spaces for continuous lineage. Yeah, I mean, how you back in the day, one of the big things used to be you get you a good federal job, get on at this post office and work at this post office. Remember that? The other part was if you didn't get on at the post office and become like the best person at the post office, it was nursing. And if one nursing, it was you need to get one of these good state jobs, or you need to get one of these good federal jobs, right? Pick a federal agency and go work that job. And then Jeanette came along and said, "Nah, we don't want to do that. That looks stressful. That looks stressful, right?" Um, yeah, for the men, it was driving buses or working trains, or driving trains, right? Then Jeanette came along and said, "Nah, we ain't doing that. We're gonna do this tech thing a little bit. We're gonna get into a couple of these little jobs, just a little bit." Now we're saying, don't go to school. And in the same token, we're saying don't go to school, but go into the jobs that have the probably cause the most pain to do. HVAC. Oh, my other one is cable installers. Working for like the Verizons and then climbing them ladders and putting in cables, right? Oh, most definitely mindset, but it's not even just mindset. It is also um exposure and tenacity. Like I told this story before, I tell it again. Um my mom put me in the nursery and they told her I was too old to keep going to the nursery, that I need to go to school. So she enrolled me in school. They said because of your age, she should be in the second grade. So went to school, they enrolled me, put me in the second grade, and you know how teachers used to go around the room. It was my turn to read. She said, "Read that passage." I was like, "I don't know these words. I don't know this." And you know how kids are. They're like, "She can't even read. She can't even read." So because of my age, they was like, "Mm, you can't read." You know how they do us. Special ed. So they stuck me in special ed. So they stuck me in special ed. I'm in the second grade. You know how they do special ed kids back then. They gotta hold hands walking down the hallway. You gotta go to lunch before everybody and whatnot. And I was like, I mean, as a kid, I was like, this that bullshit. Hey, I'm not finna keep doing this. We finna learn how to read. Oh no, this ain't even this is as a kid. And so when I talk about tenacity, it's got to be at some point you're in a situation and you look at look at this situation and you say to yourself, and excuse the language, fuck that shit, I ain't doing this. I'm up out of here. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get up out of here. I am not going to keep doing this. You cannot put me in here walking down the hallway with these kids and holding hands and all of that. Man, as a kid, I was like, nah, this ain't for me. So I say that to say it's not just a mindset, it's also have to be in you. It gotta be in you. And granted, people like, well, your mom put that in you. Nah, sorry. Mm-mm. That was in me to be like, I'm not walking down the hallway holding hands and then we gotta go in the lunchroom and eat lunch at the little special needs table, because they had, the special needs table was color coded because they had you had the special needs. It was singling you out all the time. You always was singled out. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I'll read these comments. People in my area just go to school for two meals mainly. Yep. So many people in trades do not understand the power they actually have. If they apply the same creativity they have in the field to business acumen part of the trade. With AI, you can dominate. Yep. Trades are great, but understanding how money works is key. Yep. Financial careers are equally important, but those are not marketed to us. No, they are marketed to us. We just don't pick up what people are putting out, and we don't focus on it. That's why I'm saying we always talking about trades. You know, what's wrong with buying accounting firms? You said, yeah, I was the one to pick on people who couldn't read, especially the bullies, but I also help folks to read too. Success is inevitable. What sectors you like in the stock market for the rest of 2025? I am more. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a tech REIT, um, quantum AI person. Those are my lanes. I work in them all day, every day. Those are ones that I stay in. It's with real estate. It's one or two things. You're gonna either physically buy the real estate, or you're gonna use REITs to be your real estate guide inside of your portfolio, right? Everybody got a portfolio in which they work and play in, right? So some people are very strong on real estate, some people are very strong on buying businesses, some people buy YouTube channels. Some people only buy car washes. That's all they do. What does your portfolio look like? How diverse is it? What are you investing in? That's what you have to figure out and what you got to answer for yourself. And then the other piece of that is, where is this income going to come from in order to make this purchase, or who you going to partner with in order to make this purchase. This is the other part of all of this conversation. If I got money and you don't have no money, I can't partner with you. So I need for you to have money so we can partner together so we can go buy these things. This is why, going full circle back to the beginning of the conversation, the money part is important, to make as much money as you can so you can do those things. So you have availability to do those things. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have enough people in a circle to have that availability to do those things, right? So if I came to the table and there's a deal where it's 5 car washes in there, the P&L looks right and everything is great. You have not made enough money to be an accredited investor, so you can't invest in my fund. So that automatically rules you out. So the more accredited investors that we can create, the more other things that we can do. So instead of Tony, James, and Pookie working at a car wash, they can work at the family owned car wash or they can work at the car wash within our private equity where they could start, where they can be taught and to learn the business side of it. And then once you do that, now let's be clear. There's another little factor we're leaving out of all of this. Everybody want to be a big dog. Everybody want to be on top. And everybody want to think they can do it all without everyone else. And this where the whole foundation starts to fall is you got to know your part in the system. If you good at putting icing on the cake, stay in your lane. Be good at the icing on the cake because there's a bigger picture. Now, if you want to break out of that lane, we have a discussion. But don't want to break out of the lane and be like, fuck it, I'm going over here and start my own company and I'll hire other people to do stuff and I'll show somebody else to do icing. No, stay with the people that have been you've been working with to build you up, right? To build us up, right? Not everybody wants to not everybody wants to continue to do their part long enough so that you can eat as well as a CEO. And then some people are just really not good at being a CEO. They need to be a worker bee. And you need to find out what it is that you're really good at. Are you a worker bee? Or are you that you him or her? Not everybody is him or her. They think they are, but they're not. Right? And in the end, as you all continue to go through, you guys got to start looking at everything from what you do right now to retirement and after retirement and what your network is like, how you going to get there and what and what you're choosing to do. Is it sustainable for the next 30 to 40 years and what is the trajectory in that field going to look like? And you got to surround yourself with people that understand that. CEOs should be great listeners and problem solvers, or at least hire people that are great problem solvers for them. And everybody, you say everybody don't want to be the leader. Let's say it this way: everybody doesn't want to be the leader, but they damn sure don't want to listen either. Here's the two things in tech that I know that have been consistent. People don't like to read, and people don't like to be told what to do, even though they don't read. It's the two things I've learned. Forget math. Reading is the number one is the way you separate yourself from everyone else. The ambition to read, the ambition to learn separates you from everybody else. The other part about that is people tell you exactly what they want from you. It is up to you to come into place and figure out what is this person saying, let them know, and then give it back to them and ask them what their priorities are. And it's just that simple. But I can put you in a room full of about a about 200 people, and I could tell you probably only 5% of the room probably read. People don't read, and they don't comprehend. They don't read and they don't comprehend. Energy Cannabis says tech, you have to read and learning every day is key. Not only do you have to read and learning every day is key, you have to apply. and be inquisitive and ask questions. All right, that's it. Simple. All right, y'all. I hit my 2 hour mark. I thank you for your sending out your condolences as well. Sorry for carrying on camera, D. My bad. It just hit me. Um, it just hit me. And then also, in the meantime, in between time, y'all go look for the conferences that are coming up. KubeCon Atlanta, I'll be there. Red Hat is coming up in Boston this year. And not the other piece is of course Afrotech and the Blackest Tech Conference and GovTech. But if you're gonna go to these conferences, and listen, I get it. We want to go to the conference. We want to hook up. We want to get um hookups. Let's just say it that way. Or what I do want to say is, you all take the time to go to this conference and be strategic so that you can have a booth at the conference, so you can have a business at the conference, so you can help solve problems. Right? Be the problem solver. Be the solution. Y'all be safe.